When did you realize your parents shouldn't have had kids? My parents never let me or my 5 siblings leave the house. We weren't homeschooled. We were locked inside. Windows nailed shut, doors bolted from the outside. Our room was a tiny, filthy space with stained carpet and no toys except a broken doll missing its head. The air inside always smelled like mold, old diapers, and rotting food. We were only fed once a day, a slice of white bread, sometimes with peanut butter if my parents were feeling generous. They would let us bathe once a month. The water came out rusty and cold, and our parents made us take turns using the same bucket of water. We didn't speak well because no one talked to us except to give orders. Sometimes I'd try to say something to my younger siblings, but my words felt clumsy in my mouth like they didn't belong to me. My parents told us the outside world was dangerous. They said people would hurt us, that the air was full of poison, and that if we ever tried to leave, the police would send us back. And then we'd be punished so badly we'd wish we weren't alive. We were fed these lies from the day we were born, so that's why no one ever thought of escaping. We lived in a small town, and my parents were well-respected individuals. My dad was a firefighter, and my mom was a housewife. They donated a lot of money to charity, so they'd have these special events and dinners very often. So one day, while they were out, they forgot to lock the doors of our room. I sneaked out to the living room and started digging through the drawers. I found a lot of old stuff like pictures, clothes, and documents, but then I saw an old phone that my parents weren't using. I didn't know how to use it was completely new to me, but somehow I managed to go onto YouTube and found videos of singers, music I'd never heard before. I was so excited about it that I decided to take it. I remember thinking, if my parents find out, they'll make an example out of me, but I decided to take the risk. I hid it below my mattress and never told any of my siblings, and that's how I became obsessed with Justin Bieber. His songs felt like freedom. Slowly, I started following different fan pages and forums. One day, I met a girl named Mia, and we got close really fast. She was my age, and she thought it was weird that I was always inside. At first, I didn't understand why she kept asking if I was okay. She started explaining how it wasn't normal to never go outside, how kids were supposed to go to school, see friends, and eat whenever they were hungry. It was like learning the world was bigger than the tiny rooms I knew. So I started digging more. I learned that kids go to school, play sports, instruments. Basically, I learned that my parents were monsters who weren't helping us. They were torturing us. I tried to explain this to my siblings, but they were so brainwashed that they told me that I was lying and warned me not to try anything stupid. But I decided to fight. One night, when my parents were asleep and they forgot to lock our doors, I decided I'd escape. I crept toward the front door, the floorboards moaning under my bare feet. I could feel my heart beating in my throat. My fingers had just touched the lock when I heard it. Slow, heavy footsteps coming down the hallway. I froze. The sound got closer, and then I heard my father's voice. "Why are you out of bed?" Then he slapped me so hard I immediately lost consciousness. When I woke up, I realized I was in the pantry, pitch black, with the door nailed shut from the outside. They kept me there for 5 days with no food. After that, I stopped trying for a while. But a few months later, my parents went out, and they forgot to lock the door again. For over an hour, I was thinking about doing it, but I was too scared. Then I looked at my siblings, their pale faces and their thin bodies. Something inside me snapped. I didn't care if they caught me. I had to try. I opened the door of our room and slowly walked to the front door. My siblings were calling me to come back, but I wasn't about to give up now. My hands shook as I turned the lock. I opened the door just enough to feel fresh air for the first time in years. I should have run, but I hesitated, looking back at my siblings, too scared to leave them. But that's when I heard it. The rumble of the garage door opening, tires crunching on the driveway. I started running barefoot. I could see the street. I could hear my own breath, ragged and loud. I looked behind me and saw my mom realizing what had just happened. She started screaming at me to come back. Seeing this, my dad started running after me immediately, but I was too skinny, weak, and clumsy to run any longer. I looked behind and saw my dad approaching me. I looked to my left and saw a small house with a fence. I used my last bit of strength and jumped over the fence. I started knocking on the door like a maniac, begging them to open. And just as my dad was about to jump over the fence, an old lady opened the door. Full story on channel, linked below.